Good evening. A warm welcome to all of you, media from different parts of the world in India. We have amongst us His Excellency Consul General of Israel in India, Mr. Yaakov Finkelstein, Mr. Dan Wolman, who needs not many introductions. Almost all of us know about him, but it's my duty and honor to just give a brief but massive weighted list of his achievements. Lifetime Achievement Award at the Jerusalem International Film Festival. The Silber Hugo Award at the Chicago International Film Festival for unique vision and innovative work. Eric Einstein Prize for his achievements and contribution to Israeli cinema and culture. The Ofer Lifetime Achievement Award by the Israeli Film Academy in 2016. Wolgan Award for the Best Film at the Jerusalem International Film Festival for The Distance and Foreign Sister, besides he being the awardee for the Lifetime Achievement Award at IFFI also. So it's an honor having you here. We have also amongst us celebrated film producer, Mr. David Silber, who has done more than 40 films now. Many of them have received wonderful acclaim all across the globe, as this film was featured at Toronto International Film Festival also, which received wonderful acclaim there. Some of his awards and nominations include Asia Pacific Screen Awards as a nominee, then Cine Euphoria Awards 2011, then in 2010, European Film Awards and European Film Awards in Lebanon. So he's a top-class, celebrated producer who's amongst us. And Indo-Israeli, the context is that Israel is the focus country, partner country for this 49th International Film Festival of India. It's a matter of pride and honor that IFFI has associated with Israel in this year of the festival, and it should be looked at in a wider perspective. Indo-Israeli film cooperation is taking off like never before. Honorable Prime Minister of India and Honorable Prime Minister of Israel had recently signed an agreement also for joint film production and carrying the film partnership forward. The cultural ties we all know have been historical among the two countries. There was a film, in fact, very interesting, teleseries. It's called Hatufim, if I'm right, if I pronounce it like that. It was Israeli Hatufim, all right. It was Israeli teleseries which was translated and dubbed in Hindi. It's called POW, Yuddh Ke Bandi. And it was featured in Star Plus, which was very successful and ratings went very high. So it's one of the things that people are getting into. Also, then there have been partnership productions which are there on the annual. Bollywood Film Delegation was recently hosted by the Israeli Film and TV Producers Association. So the groundswell is there. And the opportunity, this is the best moment where, incidentally, not only Israel is the focus country, the Lifetime Achievement Award also has gone to a country and a celebrated filmmaker who belongs to Israel. So, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for them for being here. I would request His Excellency Consul General to address the media, and then I would subsequently request Mr. Wolman also, Mr. Silber also to speak, and then we can take the floor to the questions. Okay? May I request all of you to kindly switch off your mobile phones, please? Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Narain, members of the media, my friends and colleagues from Israel. Shalom. I must say you touched on most of the main points, so you left me not much of statements to make, but I will maybe just reiterate a bit. So indeed, for us, it's a great pleasure and honor to be the focus country at Goa, IFFI Goa this year. As was said by Mr. Narain, it's part of the growing partnership between Israel and India, which embraces actually all levels of cooperation, from the government to the business sector to the people-to-people relations and to the cultural relation between our two countries, and we are very happy for it. During this festival, we will be screening 10 Israeli films, which basically you can learn through them about the issues that Israeli society is tackling, and a bit about the history and also the landscapes of Israel. Some of them are new films, some of them are a bit older. We open today with a magnificent and most touching movie called The Other Story by director Avi Nesher. I'm sure you'll be able to elaborate more about the film in a few minutes. And the other films are Footnote, Waltz with Bashir, The Bubble, Unorthodox, Red Cow, Working Woman, Longing, Redemption, and Shalom Bollywood, the untold story of Indian cinema, indicating the role of Jewish women and actors in the early years of Bollywood. You should know that filmmaking in Israel had undergone major developments since the 1950s, and to an extent that today it has gained world recognition and is represented in all main film festivals around the world. Of course, Cannes, Toronto, Berlin, Venice. All of them are having a variety of Israeli films. In the recent Toronto Film Festival, one of the directors told the Israeli participants that, you know what the problem with Israel? That you have too many good movies. So I wish this will be continue to be the problems of our country and our film industry. Our relations, which have just celebrated 25 years, India-Israeli full diplomatic relations last year, are gaining huge momentum, and it is supported by the two leaders, Prime Minister Modi of India and Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel. It was mentioned that a co-production agreement was signed during the visit, and we are currently in the process of working on the implementation. Our role at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is to promote and to invite Indian filmmakers to come to Israel and to do films in Israel. First steps have been already taken. I mentioned also yesterday that Dharma Production House already last year shoot a clip for the film, which is going to come out soon, Drive. The clip was shot on Tel Aviv beach. And as I said, there are a few other projects in the making, in the pipeline. When Prime Minister was here in January 2018, he met with the movie The Shakers of the Bollywood fraternity in Mumbai, and they had a great selfie together. You might have seen, you could have seen on stage Amitabh Bachchan, Aishwarya Rai, many other stars, Karan Johar, etc. And you can feel the warmth that the relations from the political level to the people's level, to the cultural level, are really warm, are unique, and they are based, I think, on many years of mutual respect and warmth between the Jewish people and the Indian people, too. Old civilizations to ancient civilizations with a magnificent and unique culture. Jews have lived in India for centuries, undisturbed, welcomed, integrated into society, no hostilities, no anti-Semitism, probably the only country in the world that there was never any hostility toward the Jews. And that comes to, yes, it deserves a round of applause for you wonderful people. And I think we see also the results today in the warm cooperation from cyber and fintech and high-tech and technology and smart cities to irrigation systems of agriculture, water desalination, and literature, cinema, and music. So the cooperation is all around. A few highlights about the Israel focus country events. So as I said, we opened by the screening of the film. Actually, prior to that, and it's an opportunity also to congratulate again Mr. Dan Wolman for a life achievement in the festival. It was really warmed my heart to see an Israeli, such an established filmmaker, on stage getting world recognition again and again and again, and I hope that it won't be the last one. You already promised me you're going to keep making film. Even you got like the film, the Life Award accomplishment, you haven't accomplished enough. So I wish you many more years of creative cinema. We had the film, as I said today, of The Other Story by Avi Nesher. And tonight we're going to have a special gala event to celebrate this focus country with a special singer from Israel, Liora Yitzhak, who is of Indian origin. As I said, Jews enjoyed life here, and she immigrated to Israel, and she keeps creating and singing in Hebrew and in Hindi as well. She learned classical Indian, North classic Indian singing, and it will be just amazing. I invite you to come and enjoy, and also to Google her up. Other events we're going to have is the seminar on Thursday morning between Israeli cinema people and Indian people. Some of those that have visited Israel, renowned names like Apurva Mehta and Vishesh Bhatt and also Tanuj Garg will be sharing their experiences of making, of visiting Israel and the options of having Indian movies in Israel and with Israel. The Israeli colleagues will share of their experience of making cinema in Israel. I'm sure it's going to be interesting, but not only interesting, I'm sure it's going to be also very practical and promoting the future cooperation between Israel and India in the field of cinema. We see cinema as a core tool to bridge between our two nations, and as the megastar Amitabh Bachchan said while meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu, that we want cinema to fortify the strong bond and relation between Israel and India. We're definitely working on it. I encourage you all to come and watch Israeli movies on this festival, and later on to come and visit Israel yourselves, because seeing is believing. I mentioned also that soon there's going to be a direct flight sorry, between India and between Tel Aviv and Goa, Punjab. So it will be even easier for you to come from here, or you can take the other flights direct flights from Mumbai and Delhi. To conclude, I want to thank you, sir, for the hospitality, for hosting us in this event. I want to thank also those who initiated the invitation for Israel to be a focus country, and the organizers of the festival. First and foremost, the Honorable Minister, Colonel Singh Ratore, and for the festival director, Mr. Chaitanya Prasad, and Amit Kare, the secretary of INB department. And I believe that even though he was not present, the Honorable Chief Minister Parikar, who gave the blessing for this festival for many years, as did the different governments of Goa beforehand in the last 49 years. I think it's a great opportunity for everybody to enjoy cinema. So thank you all. I want to thank also Chandrima, who was working directly with Israel, with our consulate, and all the little details, eventually got it in the details. And for us to enjoy all these lovely movies and this festival, many, many people had to work days and nights, and we appreciate it. We thank you. Same goes for the very devoted staff of the Israeli consulate in Mumbai, my deputy Nimrod Kalmar, Tosha Sen, the cultural officer, Galit, and all the administration, our security, everybody who took part in making it happen. Thank you. And again, thank you very much, and enjoy this festival.
Thank you. Thank you, His Excellency. Mr. Yakov Finkelstein. I also have the honor of welcoming Mr. Michel Abramovich, the DOP of the film, and thank you for coming. I have also honor of welcoming Nimrod Kalma and also Torsha Sen for being here. Thank you for coming. Thanks. She's the Deputy Consul General. Thank you for coming. Now, may I introduce Sir, so much to offer and speak about. Maybe if you could just speak your heart out a bit about how you're feeling, number one. I'm sure you must be a veteran of so many Lifetime Awards, so but still, we are very pleased to and offer you as a country. We feel very proud to honor you with this award. So how are you feeling about it, and also maybe something you can give it back to the media and the people of the country. It's not easy. I mean, would like to about cinema as an art and about a journey. Yeah.
It's okay. I'm okay. Obviously, when I heard the news, I was overwhelmed, and I really, there is something here that everybody speaks about mainstream, mainstream films, and I'm actually an advocate of the fringes. I'm a man who is, I'm saying it's very important to make films which are popular, but I think that if a filmmaker has something which is very important for him to express, and maybe there are, it's like classical music, or it's like certain maybe literature where you don't have the masses going to see this film, and if something is important for you, to still make the film. So I think that if to summarize my, let's say, the films that I've made, my filmography, I think that many of the films are films which deal with something. Let's say I think I made a film which was the first film in Israel that dealt with old age, old people. My first film took place at an old age home. And then, I dealt with many subjects which are not, mainstream, especially at the time when they were made, which were, let's say, in the 70s. I made a film about, other subjects which dealt with, let's say, prostitutes, gay subjects and other subjects. And I think that having come to this country, I think the first time I was in Ocean Film Festival in Delhi, and I showed my film there, Ben's biography, which I'm showing here. It's one of the, I'm showing 3 of my films that I've made in the past. And there was something, and immediately after that film was shown, I was invited to many cities, and I was in many cities here in India over the years, and saw many films, Indian films. But many times when a journalist comes and speaks to me about Indian cinema and says, what do you think about Indian cinema? I mention names of Indian films, and he never saw them. It turns out that, there are lots of very good, serious artists who have something important to say, but they come from Assam, or they make something about a certain thing, and people in Chennai or people in Kochi don't know these films. So, and I think that here really the mainstream is the important thing, and then you also adopt, certain successful films. Producers are going that direction. So I think that many of the filmmakers, the Indian filmmakers who make these special films have the same problem that Israel has, because, in Israel it's very hard for a producer to recoup his investment back, because Israel has a population of 8 million people, that's all. And also, the people are not of one kind, they have different cultural common denominators, because you have people coming from Africa, I don't know, Ethiopia, you have people coming from Yemen, you have people, I'm speaking about groups of people who originated in different, and they are, you know, there was big migration from Russia. Obviously, the people, you know, if somebody makes a film about Ethiopian Jews, you know, I'm not sure that, you know, let's say Russians will rush to see it. So it is not only a small country, and okay, on top of that, we have the problem of the language, because it's not a problem. But for us, I think it's very important to make a film in Hebrew. It's a language that people prayed in Hebrew, but you know, it was not a spoken language. So only maybe late 19th century, people started speaking Hebrew. So you say, I'm making a film now. People are going to speak English because it's easier to sell the film abroad. I'll say, no, it's important for cultural reasons to make it in Hebrew, because, you know, Hebrew is a very beautiful language. It's important to keep it's the heart of our culture, our language. So I'm saying it's not simple. And in my films, I think I'm trying to not go with everybody, but saying, you know, and there are many people like me now. I think in Israel there are more people like that than there were in the late 60s and 70s, who say, okay, we have something important to do. Even we know it's going to be hard to sell. We know it's not going to be, you know, make millions of dollars, but we, and now I'm coming to maybe the last thing that I will say about this, that it's that the important thing is to be able to continue to work. You know, that you're saying, I'm not making a film which nobody will see and it will be the end of my career. To find a way, you know, to still do these things which are courageous and different, but still continue to make films. So this is not easy to play these games. So I think if you look at my films, they are not, and I think, you know, I'm so honored by getting the prize, you know, this Lifetime Achievement Award. It's not a prize for, you know, prizes and so on, but I see it as a prize for this, you know, that it doesn't matter, you know, what the reviews are, what, you know, the public thinks. Still find a way, make another film, and not try to make a masterpiece or anything. Just see it as a painter at work, you know, improving his brushstrokes. So this is, I think, something that characterizes the film, and I think that's why I see the prize as a prize that stresses this thing. I will just say maybe one short thing about so over the years, you know, since 1968, exactly 50 years ago, I shot my first feature film, which was in Cannes. It was called The Dreamer. And ever since then, you know, every 3-4 years, more or less, I made films. And in order, again, to survive in a small country, I made a lot of TV dramas, short films, commercials, industrial films for the electricity department, all kinds of things. But I'm all the time working. So maybe I'll just say also that, because it was not mentioned, that I'm going to give they call it a master class. Again, I don't like the word master class. I'm definitely not a master. But I'm saying, you know, a man who can maybe give you a few tips. And so it will be given, I think, on the 24th. And sometime, I think it's, okay, you'll find out the schedule. When? Yeah, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, with me, it'd probably be 3 to 4.5, but okay. Thank you very much. I think this was too much of me. Thanks.
Thank you. So, journey starting 1968, The Dreamer. Your dream continues. So, and the courage, you require the courage to continue the dream in spite of all the challenges. That's really commendable, and that's what you're getting the awards for. I'm sure that's what keep getting, because you keep on continuing doing good things. Yeah, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, we have amongst us Mr. David Silber also, and sir, we are honored to have you here. And we'd like you to, though the films, I'm sure the media and public delegates will be watching your film. Maybe you could say a few lines about your films and about your journey and what you plan to do a bit more.
About the other films, you mean?
I mean, yes, what you're planning to do in the future, and also a bit about this film also.
Okay.
How you went about accepting this film as well as a producer, how you felt about it, was the experience like?
Hi, everybody. So I want first to thank you for inviting the film to open the Israeli focus. It's a big honor, and I wanted very much our director, Avi Nesher, to be here. But unfortunately, he went through a tragedy. He lost his son last month, so he couldn't come. And I'm trying to a little bit replace him. This film, The Other Story, it's a work that started 4 years ago. Avi worked with a psychiatrist from the US who told him the story of his own. His daughter became religious, and Avi realized immediately that this story happens again and again in Israel when the children are becoming religious and ultra-Orthodox, and the parents don't know how to deal with it. In many cases, they feel they are losing the child. They feel it's another world, it's another culture, and they are fighting to get their children back. Even in my family, my sister became religious when she was 19, many years ago. In her case, she realized it's not for her after 3-4 years. But there are other cases that these youngsters are building families, many times with a lot of kids, and it's very hard to go back. So Avi thought that Avi Nesher thought this is a topic that worthwhile dealing with, and he gathered many stories and he created this film which talks about secular parents who feel that they are losing their daughter to the religious world, to God, let's say, and they are trying to fight it, and eventually they are learning how to accept the daughter, and the daughter accept not to be so extreme, and the life doesn't have to be so extreme. And you have to see the film. I don't want to tell you the end. With Avi Nesher, I did already 6 films. This is the last one. We started working in 2002. Many of his films touches issues that are in the heart of the Israeli society, like immigration to Israel and the accepting of the various groups of immigrants, the accepting of each other. Another topic would be the Holocaust, how the second generation of Holocaust survivors live with the horrible past of their parents, and so on and so forth. Myself, I did already 40 films. I'm not a brave man like this one who started 50 years ago, because being a film producer is my second career. I was a museum curator before. And I started, I think, 25 years ago. But you are really a brave person, yeah, to go through. I am following him. And the way he does his films, it's very, we say in French, chapeau, to his way of doing films. I'm trying to also deal with topics that is in the heart of the Israeli society and Israeli discourse, the relationship between various tribes in the Israeli society, be it Arabs, Palestinian, Israeli Palestinians, what we call immigrants from Mediterranean countries versus immigrants from Europe, and the way the Europeans are receiving the Mizrahim, we call them. The Israeli wars, nobody mentioned them. I did few films about Israeli, a film called Lebanon, who got the Golden Lion in Venice, and another film, Beaufort, who was nominated for the Oscar. So these are topics that I'm involved in. I think that I'm not so fond of doing just entertainment. I want to do films that matters, that gives you some food for thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, David Silber. Now I leave the floor open, and one by one, please. Yeah, one. Okay.
My question to Mr. Dan Wolman. You came to India. Welcome to India. I'm from Calcutta, Prabhash Mukhopadhyay. Calcuttan peoples are very much crazy about Israeli music, in particular Amos Gitai. This year also we are having in our one festivals a trauma in Jerusalem of his movie. Mr. Dan, I want to ask people when they receive, directors when they receive the LTAA, means Lifetime Achievement Award, they used to say over the dais that it is farewell to their journey. Now, do you think India is a dreamland, dream stories, huge basket of stories? Your dream is ending here, or after receiving LTA, or you are starting, revive your dreams again?
Thank you very much. I was in Calcutta, at the film festival 2 years ago. I was on the jury there, and I really enjoyed the public there. I think it knows films, it loves films, very, very high level. And look, I'm joking many times because I think it was the Taviani brothers were in Jerusalem in the year 2000 when I think it was the second Lifetime Achievement Award. And I always say, here many of the young people say, okay, take him out of the igloo into the freezer and, get rid of him already. It's enough. It's not that I want to accomplish anything, but that childish thing, that you have inside you, which is you still hear a good story, or you suddenly things connect in your brain. You say, wow, that's a good story. And you want to say, how will it be through my filters as a film? It's still there. It doesn't matter how old I feel. And so I see it as it's fantastic. It's really, it's going to, I hope it's going to help me make my next film. And I'm using this opportunity to say that I've written a children's film, which is going to be shot in Israel, but parts of it have to be shot in India. It's going to be called My Father's Secret India. So if among you there is some investor who is looking for a film and they want to collaborate with me, I'm saying, please speak to me later. But thank you. I think there's still a few more films that I might make. Thanks.
The question is addressed to Wolman. Mr.
Ulmer, sir.
Yes.
So have you ever thought of making a film on Hitler? Hitler was the biggest enemy of Jews. And I just want to know, what are your feelings about Hitler?
It's usually we say great question. It's a strange question because, I'm saying, look, I think everybody in Israel, being a small country, it's very much a part of our life. For example, my mother came from Germany. My mother ran away from Germany, and she left Germany because she could not, study there. And Hitler came to power in 1933. My mother fled after a few years, fled to Italy, where she met my father, who was studying medicine there. But I'd say about 2/3 of my family on that side were killed in concentration camps. So. it's not only one man, you know, it's not Hitler. There were a lot of people working for him who were sending people on trains, you know, for... so I'm saying, I don't know why, but I don't like also, my films are not direct. You know, I don't like to touch like that. I always try to find something. Sometimes I think that a shadow of something or something which is indirect is stronger than just showing something. So, you understand? So I don't think I'll make a film. Charlie Chaplin made a great film about Hitler. So, so I'm saying, I think that if I do something, it's going to be something which is on the side, which I hope will be touching. Thanks.
Kindly identify yourself, please.
My name is Mahesh, Shalom, Manishma. The question is for Excellency Akau Finkelstein. I started from where Dan Wolman left it, my father's secret India. All the kids from Israel, after they finish the IDF training, 60 to 70% drop into India. And it's a secret place where they rewind and get back to life. Not many movies have been done with that theme as a concept. Indian directors and producers would like to know what Israel has got to offer for Indian filmmakers, the collaboration or any funding probabilities, and what is in store for things like that.
Thank you. Yes, indeed, and this is what we're going to elaborate on tomorrow morning at the seminar. We have few incentives. Part of them are governmental support by different ministries for making films in Israel, taxation, in-kind money, etc. There are private funds like the Jerusalem Fund, which sponsors films shot in Jerusalem. Abramovich Fund, a few other funds. So again, I invite all those who are really interested in making cinema with Israel and in Israel to come tomorrow 10 o'clock at the Taj Vivanta to this seminar, to this discussion. We have a representative from the Cultural Department at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Vered Heller. She will elaborate about the details. But in short, yes, we want you to come. We have and ready to put our money where our mouth is. Okay? For a change, the government is going to give money. There are other private funds. There are beautiful venues for shooting films. We have very professional cinema people, filmmaker, producers, from the directors to the water boy. I think we have everything. Correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen. But so we can get also technical support. Come, talk to us, and I'm sure we can find ways to make you have a wonderful film in Israel.
I'm Raj Mogan, representing Kalki Group magazine from Tamil Nadu. My question is to Mr. Dan Wolman. Before movie, you are also a theater person, I think, as your biography. How is the growth of theater in Israel, right?
Yes, about theater. Okay. I'm doing something impolite, but I want to add something, okay, to your question, and say that I think the greatest thing in our country is that it's an idea country. It's a country with people with unusual ideas in many fields, and that's why, you know, let's say it's a series, television series, you know, like Fauda and others. Again, maybe I'm going into things that you're going to be discussing tomorrow, but I'm saying that I think if there was a program, for example, where 6 Indian screenwriters would come to Israel, meet 6 Israeli screenwriters, and work together on new ideas, I think that's the kind of thing that you can find in Israel, which you cannot find in other places, because there's something about this that happens in this area of ideas. Okay, now to your question about the theater. I think there is excellent theater in Israel, and you know, there's something both in cinema and in you know, in theater, that in Israel I think has the highest rate of film schools. You know, that in Israel I think there are 18 very good film schools, and you know, in such a small country. And I think every high school that respects itself in Israel has a film program. And people there can be, in their matriculation exam, instead of mathematics, can be tested in film, in high schools. So many people would go there and go through the army, doing something close to cinema. Really, when they come, they are on a very high level. In Israel, I think there's one very famous playwright now. I mean, unfortunately, he's not alive anymore, but he's very popular all over the world. His name is Hanoch Levin. And his plays are being, presented. I was now in China. Every year they show his plays. He's become a classical playwright, a fantastic playwright. And so we have very good theaters. And they are, heavily supported by the government because, again, it's important. Like in Israel, there is opera. And I'm saying it's important to have an opera. You know that the investment in an opera is much more than you will get back from the public because, it's a very small population. But you say culture is important, for the country, so the government is investing in it. So I'm also involved in the theater. As a matter of fact, on the 29th, a day after I finish here, I'm involved. A play that I wrote is going to be read at some festival there. So it's very exciting, and it's less expensive than film. Okay. Thanks.
Excuse, sir. This is to Dan and David, sir. Yes. The question is, how do you plan to promote your films in India to have more viewership and create a market for yourself? Do you have any concrete plans for it, sir?
Maybe you can help me with this, because we don't have plans. We tried once or twice in the past, but the market here is so huge, and we are so small that we are being swallowed in instant. So if you guys can help us, if you can find a distributor that is willing to put our films in cinemas, or even to sell to television, we welcome it. You want to add on it?
Hello. To Mr. Dan Wolman, 8 million population, 2.5 million viewers for your films, 18 film schools, and around 10, 12 film festivals. Indians love Israeli technology. Thousands of channels in India run by Israeli graphic engine, Israeli data support, Israeli everything. But in terms of cinema, we are expecting a lot from Startup Nation to give us handholders in the new tech, which is being developed, R&D being done in Israel, but implemented in the US or Europe. It was never come to Asia, especially to India. We would like to know more about it. Can you give us some highlights on that?
I'm now, again, I'm patting on my own shoulder all the time, but I'm saying that I'm also, before I knew that I was getting a Lifetime Achievement Award, I was invited to give a master class here. And they said, okay, we're paying your trip, we're inviting you for 4 days, and then, I was planning to go back to Israel, and I said to myself, here I'm coming to India, just for a master class. I said, it doesn't make sense. And I said that I'm going to, I found out that one can rent in the market, at the bazaar, one can rent a booth. I approached some companies in Israel, the foundations, and said to them, why don't we rent and have an Israeli film booth, and I will be there, somebody giving DVDs, etc. And so that I'll be using this time here, the 4 days that I'm here. And then suddenly I heard the good news that I'm getting this, this award. So yeah, so I'm saying I'm sitting there today. I arranged the booth there, and people are coming. And the man came to me, an Indian producer, and he said to me, there is a very good Israeli film that I've seen lately, and he said, I like the story. We would like to adopt it in a certain place here in India. And I said, so meeting him tomorrow to speak about it, and I will try to get in touch with the filmmaker who made this film. I'm not going to tell you the name because other people will jump on it and it's not fair. So, but I'm just saying that I think there are very good films that are made that could be adopted here. I think, again, because of the nature of distribution here, and I'm saying it's the same problem with interesting experimental and artistic Indian filmmakers who have problems distributing their films here. I think also with films like that, which are in Hebrew, The films are in Hebrew. It's going to be difficult to get serious distribution. Okay.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Wolman, you mentioned about interest in French films, and you also mentioned about the constraints you are facing in terms of audience and multiple cultural bases and all. What are the political and ideological issues that you're facing, being a country which is ridden with so many conflict, and you're continuously engaged in different kinds of turmoil? So how has it impacted on your aesthetic and political perspective?
Do you want to answer that?
No, it's to you,
okay.
to you.
It's a delicate question, and I feel more comfortable speaking about this in my country, in Israel. But I'm saying, obviously, one has to be, I think there should be, again, I'm speaking now about the sensitivity of a person when you're a filmmaker to try and do something which you, on the one hand, you're saying it's a jungle, I want to attract attention, I want to do something that everybody will pay attention to me. And on the other hand, you say, I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't, and I'm saying in Israel, it's very delicate because you can do something, immediately, these Orthodox people will say, oh my God, he's joking at us, you cannot make a comedy about this thing. Or it could be a political thing where somebody is very critical about the country, and people will say, oh, he's giving, weapons to the enemy, if you say there is corruption, whatever it is. So I'm saying, I think that there are a lot of problems, and and I think also, it depends on who is ruling, the country, which party is ruling, and so I'm saying, I think one has to be very clever. You don't want your film to end up on a shelf, but and if you know film history. If you take Buñuel, for example, Buñuel suddenly, he decided to shoot Viridiana in Spain, which was under Franco. And a lot of the people in Spain said, I'm speaking about the underground, and people around the world said, he's going to work there with a dictator and so on. But then when they saw the film, what a fantastic film and what, breakthrough it was and what an important film it was, they said, okay, he did something which was, you have to play by the rules. And so I'm saying, think of Italy. Think of the great, so I'm saying, let's say the church ruled, the church gave money, the church decided which sculptors are going to work. So you could be, you could think, oh my God, the church is corrupt, the church is this and so on, but still you want to live, you want to continue working. Say, okay, I have to do my thing, I have to work, whatever the situation is. So I'm saying in Israel, parties change and so on, and I think one has to be wise, make films according to his truth.
Would like to say something?
I would like to add to it that Israel is like every democracy. We have challenges, we have issues. It's not a perfect society. I think the only perfect countries in the world are dictatorships. Yes, in North Korea and Iran, everything is pinkish, everything is lovely, everything is rosy. Democracies like Israel, like India, like the United States, like France, Germany, they have some issues, socio-economical, security, whatever have you. And I think it is very well reflected also in our cinema. That's why I say you have a window to Israeli society, to the beautiful part of it, but also to the challenges and the difficulties. And I think this is what's great about it. And this is also then why I wanted you to answer before me, because I think that the artists should always have this freedom of expression and not feel that they are now being manipulated or shot. And we have no problem to take Israeli films and show them worldwide in different festivals, and again gain world acknowledgement for our cinema. I think this is part of it because they are sincere. There's something truth about it, and when people see something, going back to the movie we saw today, the other story, people feel that there's something sincere. That's what they like, I think, about the film. Yes, one thing is the artistic angle of the way you edit the film and the shooting, etc. But the story, the plot. So yes, we have issues. We tackle them in many ways. First of all, we try to solve them and to face them. And we also reflect them and we discuss them in public in many ways. One of them is through the cinema. So I'm very proud of our country, of issues, and our culture and cinema.
Thank you. Again, the question to our senior filmmaker, Don Wolman.
Can it be the last question, please?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Actually, there is always a debate, mainstream cinema, art cinema, commercial cinema. But cinema is a cinema. As a senior person, according to you, what is good cinema?
You know, it's a very personal thing, because what is good for me is not good for other people. And had I, you know, like there's no, if people had some sort, there was some, even to define it and say, you know, this is good cinema, you know, it's, and also me, it changed over the years. I just saw a film from Paraguay, you know, which is this year's Paraguay's contender for the Oscar. It's called The Inheritors. It's about lesbian women. It was good, and I'm sure a lot of people stood up, left in the middle, said, what a terrible film. So, you know, it's very difficult. Can I say one more thing? Okay, it's okay. You can go ahead. No, because I think something should be said.
The restriction was on the other side.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, maybe I just want to say something, because in your question, there was something very important that we have to speak about. In the last, you know, lately, there has been, you know, some voices in the Israeli government saying that we should not support films which are not, you know, which are against the country, which are loyal to the country, and there should be like something like a loyalty law, that people should make films which are, they're not saying people should make films, but say if we support films, they should be films that are pro the country. And again, I can tell you what my feeling is, and I think a lot of the Israeli film artists think. They think that, you know, if there were, you know, like the Israeli prophets, you know, the most important, the Jewish prophets, our old prophets, you know, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Amos, you know, they have written things which are very critical of corruption, etc. And also speaking against, you know, the kingdom and whoever is ruling. And I'm saying that had there been such a law at that time, they wouldn't have kept their books as part of the Bible. They would have taken them out. It's a part of our tradition and our religion that, you know, these diversity, this thing of, you know, arguments is very much a part of, and it should, I think we should fight to keep it democratic and not agree with that kind of a movement.
Thank you.
I second.
I think most of the creative and filmmakers are like that. They are generally anarchist in nature.
Yeah.
And they see, you know, the free, liberal, and their ability to think all around themselves in a liberal manner is we all should truly appreciate, and that's what cinema movement is all about, to express yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, applause for the Israeli. It has been an honor, indeed, to have them over here. Mr. Yakov Finkelstein, His Excellency, Michelle, and Ms. Nimrod, thank you, and Ms. Torsha Sain.
And who is going to thank you? So we thank you.
Oh, thank you. I have thanked
Okay.
myself. Thanks. And have a good time. Thank you.